Welcome to the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Excited to be able to spend some time with you again today, talking about things that are important to growing your business. Today, we're going to be talking about something from a little bit different angle than what we've done in the past, and that is the role of conviction in building a message that people will follow. We are all online doing different things, trying to create messages that people will pay attention to, right? That someone will take notice of the work that we're doing and say, hey, I get it. This is amazing. What you're doing is important. But to do that, we have to actually get people to see us. We have to get people to pay attention to our message, to pay attention to what it is that we're doing. And that requires some people to actually notice. And so we think about well, what do I need to have to be noticed? What do I need to have to get people to pay attention to who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm about? And one of those things that we often think about is we start thinking about people who are really popular on TV or on movies or are on stage. And we start thinking about, what do those people have? Well, they're very photogenic. They're incredibly good physical health, lots of muscles, flat stomachs, long, beautiful hair, or very good hair if it's not long, good teeth, a good smile. They just walk up and they just light up a room. They're full of charisma. They are well spoken. They know how to get in front of a crowd and communicate. Oh man, these people, they just seem to have all these skills. And we sit here and we go, man, I don't have all that. Maybe your teeth aren't all as straight as they should be. Maybe you're not as photogenic. Maybe you need to lose a few pounds. Maybe there's things that need to happen for you to get to that place. And then you also have that realization sometimes when you look in the mirror and you go, yeah, I can certainly work on this. I can certainly work on improving my health, improving my look, improving my image, but I'm never going to be as good as they are. I'm never going to reach that level of looking like they do, because they look so high level. And no matter how hard I work at it, I'm only going to get so far. And so it becomes very discouraging. It becomes very what am I even trying to do? What am I even trying to accomplish here? Because I'm never going to be a Hollywood celebrity. I'm never going to be on the cover of magazines. I'm never going to be that person who is on the mega stages because of my, good looks and my charming personality. So we get discouraged at that point, because we start to equate the ability to build a following for our message with charisma, with looks, with physical attributes. And that's what I want to challenge the idea of today. I want to challenge the idea of the ability to create a following, the ability to build a message people will follow is dependent upon things like that. Because whenever I talk to people, they say, I got to get online, but, I got to do my hair. I got to do, my makeup. I got to do my, make sure everything's just perfect. I got to pick out the right clothing. I got to do. And you're going to be going for a while. And you create all these barriers for you to ever get there, for you to ever do these things. And it creates this kind of wall of separation that's keeping you from getting your message out, because you think your ability to generate a following is based on those types of things. And here's the truth. It's absolutely not. This is not how it works. And we're going to talk about three things today. The first one is conviction is the difference between noise and leadership. Now, I want you to think about it like this. Conviction separates those who are just on stage talking, those who are just putting out a message, those who are just doing things, from those who are actually sold out to their idea, sold out to their message. And I want to use an example of someone who is a very negative example. This is not an example of someone who is a positive. Okay. This is not an example of someone who is a good leader. I'm going to use the example of Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler, granted, was a very evil, wicked man. Okay. He was not a good human being, but you cannot question, you cannot doubt that the man had conviction. The things that he had conviction for were horrible. The things that he had conviction for were evil and wicked. But the man was sold out to his ideas. And when you look at Adolf Hitler, when you look at him as a person, do you see a person that was the most handsome person you've ever seen? The most photogenic, the most, best looking person, the person who would be in movies? I certainly don't. And he had that stupid little mustache that looks ridiculous. And he does look like a raging lunatic half the time. And yet, people followed him religiously. People were sold out to follow him. So much so that they committed great, great evil to follow him. They committed horrible atrocities in following him because he was so sold out to his message. He was so convinced that the thing that he was doing was so important, so right, so correct in his mind that he was putting everything he had into it. He went both guns blazing on it. And he had this vision of what would be or what should be. He had this vision of how life should really be. And he sold out to it. He sold out to the notion. He sold out to the idea. And other people caught that vision and they followed it because of this deep, deep level of conviction that he had. Now think about that. In today's world, what do we see? We see people marketing sneakers or clothing lines or makeup or food or whatever it may be, and they're on there, and they, a lot of these people that are doing that are, Hollywood celebrities and people who are on TV, who are influencers, who have that look, who have that physical look, who have the way with words that they could speak. But are any of you sold out to a clothing line? Are any of you sold out to a shoe? I would doubt it. I would highly, highly doubt that. I would doubt that is true. So when you think about it, the people that are promoting those things are really just generating a lot of noise. They're generating a lot of noise. And yeah, they get some results. They get some action. They get some things to happen. They get people to buy their stuff. But in a couple of years, people will have forgotten about that shoe. People will have forgotten about that piece of clothing or whatever it was that they were out there promoting. The message that they were carrying, the world would have moved on to something else. The slogan wouldn't be important anymore. Why? Because it lacked conviction. The hashtag world where people just sign up for all this. We have had such of that nonsense over the last half a dozen years. And you can go, where did all that go? Why? Because it was just a trend. It was just noise. There was no conviction behind the movement. So that is the first thing that we have to come to grips with. Being able to get people behind your message, getting people to follow your message, getting people to follow what it is that you're saying has nothing to do with how photogenic you are. It has nothing to do with how smooth of a speaker you are. It has nothing to do with how good you look on camera. Because again, Adolf Hitler certainly didn't check any of those boxes. but he had massive followings in his country. He had a message that he was sold out and completely convicted on. And as a result, he created a vision, he created a message that other people became sold out to as well. Again, negative example, I understand, and we keep that in mind. That's not one to follow, but I want you to see the principle. I want you to see the principle and understand that this is what gets people to move. People move because they become convicted that this is the thing that they need to do. When do people make big life-changing decisions where they quit their career and go in a different direction? Because they become convicted. Not because of some shiny thing that they saw advertised on social media or on TV or wherever. They become convicted that my life has to change. My life has to go in a new direction. There's conviction behind the movement. So I need to quit my job and I need to go in and launch myself on a new course. I need to launch myself in a new way. That's what gets people to move. The second thing I want to talk about today is conviction comes from experience, not perfection. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, here's the thing. A lot of times people lack conviction about what they're doing because they feel like I don't know things well enough. I'm still learning. I'm still getting a lot of my feet underneath me. I don't understand how a lot of these things work. This is a way that I believe in, but I'm not so sure, and I don't want to put myself too far out there because what if I get questions? What if I get questions about this or about that? I won't know how to answer them. I won't, and I'm going to look foolish, and then and then so you start backing away from your message, or you back away from how hard you promote your message. Because you lack that conviction, because you don't think you know enough. You don't think you have enough conviction. You don't think you have enough knowledge. You don't think you have enough understanding. You don't have enough experience. You don't have enough insight. So you hold back with your conviction of this. Now, here's the thing. There's always going to be more things to learn. Especially, I'm just here to tell you that when you are an online marketer, an online business leader, the stuff to learn is absolutely endless. It is always going on. We have more and more and more new things happening all the time. The role that AI is playing and all the things that we are doing now has radically transformed the landscape of the business, the world that we're in. And there's so many shiny objects to chase. There's so many things that you need to know and do. And so people get stuck. Well, I can't talk about that because I don't know enough about what I'm talking about. Okay. I get it. But here's what has to happen. When you get enough experience in your life, when you've been through enough, you learn to develop a filter. And I'm just going to call it like the noise filter. You learn to recognize that success happens due to certain core elements. And this could be in a number of fields. It could be in building a business, like what we talk about here. It could be in helping people heal from trauma. It could be in helping people get healthy. It could be in helping people improve their relationships. The reality is that there's always going to be new ideas. There's always going to be new noise. There's always going to be new shiny ideas or shiny objects thrown into the mix. And you're going to kill yourself if you think that you have to constantly have an understanding of all those things. You're going to kill yourself if you think you need to be on top of every little thing that's going on. Because here's the truth. Those things are noise. Those things are a lot of distractions. The new ideal, this is the way to do it. No, this is the way to do it. No, this is the new way. You're going to make money really easily. Or no, you'll lose weight. I love these things I'm seeing now, these chair workouts where I'm seeing like, okay, You think just sitting in a chair and moving your legs a little bit is going to do it? Okay. Here's the thing, there are certain core ideas and principles that are going to be necessary to lead you to success in any given field. When you are talking about starting a business, you have to have I teach people there's 5 core ideas that you have to have. Number 1, you have to identify your core audience. Who is it that, who are the people that you're trying to serve? And what is the problem that they're facing? You have to look at these people and say, who are my people and what is it that I'm trying to help them with? Okay. From there, you have to design a solution. Okay. You have to come up with how am I going to solve this problem? How am I going to come up with a solution that meets this problem? How am I going to create something that helps them with where they're at? I see it clearly. That's what these people need help with. This is where they're stuck. How can I create something that's going to solve it? Okay. Then I do that. I need to attract those people to me. I need to draw interest from those people to come hear what I have to talk about, to come listen to my message, to come hear that. So I have to generate leads. Okay. So I have to generate people to come hear me. I have to attract them. I have to pull them in. I have to generate an audience. Once I do that, I have to communicate the value of what it is that I'm doing. Once I show them, this is how you succeed. This is how you can solve your problem. This is how you can make things work. And then I have to provide them a way to sign up. Now, when you think about it, those steps are universal. Those steps are there whether or not you're using AI, whether or not you're offline or online, whether or not you're in construction, you're in manufacturing, you're a service-based business. Those steps are there no matter what. Those are universal principles. Those are universal stones that you have to step on if you're going to reach success. And we can throw in all the noise that we want. Oh, I need to have ebooks. I need to have speeches. I need to have videos. Okay. All of that is noise to the core principles. And you can sit here and let people get caught up and wrapped up in knots about, I need to have this. I need to have that. Oh, now I should be on YouTube, or now I should be on this. I should be on that. Okay. Don't forget your core principles. Because what ends up happening is when you start to get to the point where you have conviction that you understand, look, if you want to lose weight, here's the things you have to do. And you can make all these new shiny things about sit your butt in a chair and do, chair exercises and you'll magically lose a bunch of weight. Okay. That's noise. And I can guarantee you in about 2 years, that one will be gone. But here's the thing. When you know the certain fundamental principles that have to happen for you to lose weight, the noise starts to quiet down. I have to do the following things. I have to watch my diet and I have to exercise. Okay. That's really it. And everyone can do it a little bit differently according to how your tastes and desires are. But those are the foundational elements. You have to eat healthy and you need to get some exercise. Everything else is noise. So when you understand that, you kind of become, and I'm going to use the example of, you kind of become like an old dog. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen an old dog sitting next to a puppy? And the old dog is just sitting there and the old dog is chilling out and he's just relaxed and he's just kind of like whatever. And the little puppy is running around like a maniac, just barking and yelping, has so much energy, he's ready to drive everybody up the wall. And the old dog just looks at the young dog or the puppy and goes, "You're an idiot." You could just see it in the dog's eyes. He's just looking at him going, "Oh, what are you doing? You're so annoying. Shut up." You can just like see it in the old dog's eyes. And the old dog knows that it's all noise. The old dog's looking at the puppy going, "You're chasing after every little thing, every little sound, every little thing. You're chasing it, running in circles. None of it is that important." I, now that I'm experienced and more seasoned, know that these are the things that are important. These are the things that are most valuable. So I'm going to focus on them. You need to learn how to take that approach a little bit in what it is that you do to develop conviction. You need to look at what you do and you need to be able to say, "Hey, okay, for me to have success in my field, these are the 3, 4, 5, whatever they are, steps that have to be there. The only way you're going to succeed is if these are in that process. This is how it works. And there's no getting away from it. And you can apply all the shiny objects, all the new techniques that you want, but you have to cross these steps. These are requirements." And so what ends up happening is you lose the need to learn every little thing. You lose the need to sit there and have all of the knowledge because you look at it and go, "Yeah, doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't really matter if I know all those things," because you start to recognize the patterns in them. Here's one in my world. A few years ago, there was this thing called NFTs. And you got all these guys running around saying, "You need to be creating NFTs about your stuff. You need to be creating NFTs. And people like me were looking at it going, "What are you talking about? This is noise. This is nonsense. This makes no sense. It doesn't fit into the steps of how you make money in a business." And that was the thing. I looked at it and I said, "Okay, my 5 steps for building a business, this NFT thing doesn't fit. It doesn't fit into the 5 steps. It's noise." And sure enough, given enough time, it was exposed to be just that. It was exposed to be a lot of nonsense. And a lot of people, let's just be honest, doing a lot of scammy things with it. They were just trying to sell you garbage, trying to convince you that you could create an NFT of a purple gorilla and get rich. Create an image, a one-of-one image of a purple gorilla, and somehow that was going to be worth a mountain of money. Are you kidding me right now? This is insane. And it just became noise. But when you know with conviction what your steps to success are, you learn to recognize what noise is. You learn to recognize how that you don't need to perfectly understand all of that. You just need to understand what it is. I don't need to understand how NFTs work because I knew it was noise and I could dismiss it as noise without having to worry about it and stay convicted to the things that I know were necessary for success. The third point I want to bring out is clear conviction attracts the right people. Now, this is something that is very, very important as well. When you are convicted on this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how we do it, and this is the right way to succeed, the right people are going to hear that and go, "Yes, that's it. You're helping me get what I need for solving my problem. You're helping me achieve the things that I need to have success and to be able to start going through these areas of my life and fixing the problems that I have. I have a problem. I have something that needs to be addressed. I have something that needs to be dealt with. And you're showing it to me. I have confidence because you have conviction. You're not trying to convince me in some shiny object. You're not trying to convince me in some super slick, noisy thing. You're actually showing me the truth because you can have conviction about the truth. You can have conviction about what's the right way to do things. and then show people a better way to get there, and then they'll want to come work with you. And when you do that, and when you stay on message, and when you stay on target, and you stay pushing in the right areas, you're going to attract people who feel similarly. You're going to attract people who want that same thing. And you're going to attract people who are like, yes, I want to work with you. This is the type of stuff that I want. And you're going to get rid of the people who just want the easy path. You're going to get rid of people who just want, the get rich quick schemes, which are out there. I have to deal with those people who get excited. They think that, they found the solution. I just do these 3 little things and suddenly the money is just going to come flooding in. Okay. You violated the 5 steps. You're not listening. And you know what? If that's how you want it, go waste your money on a bunch of that garbage, because you're not my people. You're not the right fit for what I'm doing. You don't align with what it is, and this is never going to work for you, because you're looking for a shortcut. You're looking for the lazy man's way out. You're looking to achieve something that isn't reasonable, and you're chasing after things that aren't true. So move on and stay convicted to your message. Stay convicted to the truth about what needs to happen for your audience. And people will start to go, yeah, okay, that's it. You're speaking truth to me. You're speaking from the heart. You're speaking reality. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to do things to follow you. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to sign up for your stuff, because what you're saying, yeah, that is meaningful. That is life-changing. That is the truth. And they're going to start resonating with it. And that's going to cause people to want to say, hey, you got something real. This isn't flashy. This isn't noise. This isn't a whole bunch of just, hype. You have conviction about this. You know that what you're saying is going to work. So in wrapping everything up today and kind of pulling this all together, here's what I want to say. If you have conviction about your message, you're going to stay on message. And I know somebody very dearly who did not have conviction of his message. He had conviction that he wanted to pad his ego. He had conviction that he wanted to become famous, that he wanted everyone to tell him how amazing he was. So he kept changing tunes. Today he was promoting this thing. The next day he's promoting something completely different. The next day he's promoting something yet different again. He lost all his conviction. He just wanted to sell people stuff. Guess what happened? The audience walked away because they knew he'd lost his conviction. He had it early, but then he got distracted. He got taken off the path. He had no conviction, and the audience all left because everything he was saying simply became noise. Find the thing that you're convicted about. If whatever it is that that this is what you can do to help people solve their problems, achieve their dreams, help them become successful in life with what it is that they're trying to do, stay there. Learn the core principles to success. Again, it doesn't need to be complicated. Losing weight, eat healthy, watch your calories, exercise. It has not changed over hundreds of years. And yet there's a million shiny objects in that space of health plans that are promising to be the magic pill. All noise. You know how it works. You know the math. You know how to think through it simply. Stay in tune with your convictions. Stay in tune with what your truth is, and stay on that message. Don't get distracted. Don't lose confidence that, I don't know how all this newfangled shiny system over here, what they're doing. You don't need to. You need to call it out for what it is, that it's noise. And you need to stay on what you know works, and you need to let your people know that's noise. Stay on the path, stay on mission, and we will succeed because that's noise. This is truth. And in doing so, you will build a message that people will follow. So I hope this is helpful to you today. I hope you got a lot of insights on how to build a message that people will follow. Have an amazing day, and I will see you again in the next episode.